Hello everyone, welcome to Campus Channel. We are here today with ESCP Europe for their Executive MBA. Now you can ask all your questions so that you see if this program suits your need and your expectations. We're coming to you live and it's for you to interview with ESCP Europe. Joining us today, you're Stefan Schmid, your Academic Dean of MBA. Hello. And Odile BOCANDE KOFFI, your Alumni of Promotion of 2012.
Hello.
And you're currently Executive Coach and Training, Training Coach, right, of the OBK Performance. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. Now we are going to move on to the corporate moment where you're going to give a 2-minute speech about your program. Go ahead.
My name is Stefan Schmid. I'm a professor in international management and strategic management at our Berlin campus. And at the same time, as it was introduced, I am the academic dean of the Executive MBA program. We are very happy to discuss today with you what we can offer. And we think that our Executive MBA program is really unique. First of all, unique because it's truly European and international. Already our campus structure makes it really European. Many of you may know that we are based not only here in Paris, but also in Berlin, in London, in Madrid and in Torino. And our participants have the choice to study on all of these campuses. And it's our own campuses. So it really means we offer you an integrated European study approach. Second, we also believe that no other program is probably as diverse as ours in terms of the participants, in terms of the professors, also in terms of the study tracks we offer. And when I just come back to the participants, we really want to have a high diversity in terms of industries, in terms of functions, and also in terms of nationalities. And diversity is later on a very important element in our teamwork. Third, we are not only international and valuing diversity. I think what makes us also very special is that you can really customize this program. You can have a short version in 18 months or a longer version in 30 months. You can study your core courses at one location, or you can choose to have them at different locations. Out of the electives, you have more than 40 electives offered, and it's you deciding whether you want to specialize more in some areas or whether you want to really have a broad approach. So you, the participant, you choose what has the most value to you, because that's what we want. We want that our Executive MBA helps you in boosting your career.
Great. Now, Odile.
So I'm Odile BOCANDE KOFFI, and I graduated in 2012. And I was working in corporation. And just after, at the end of the Executive MBA, I created my own business. So just to let you know how, booster the Executive MBA can be.
Great, thank you guys. Well, very good. We'll move on to the interview now. So all the questions that you send us will directly appear on the screen behind me. And they're here to answer all these questions. And I'm here to make sure that you get what you need. If you're ready, here we go.
Hello, what is the minimum of work experience years we need to apply? I worked for a bit less than 1 year and 3-month internship before that. Thanks. So I can tell you that it's great that you already have work experience, but the work experience you have is not enough for an executive MBA.
Tell us how many years at least?
Really, for being a good candidate for our program, you should have at least 5 years of professional experience, and within this 5 years of professional experience, also some managerial experience. But we must even say that the average work experience is around 10 to 12 years, depending really on the class. But you really should come with experience. And it's not because we don't want to have younger people, but it's because a part of the executive MBA is really to bring your experience to the classroom, to share this experience with your fellow classmates, and by that making really an MBA, an executive MBA, and not a full-time MBA.
And if you have, like, let's say 2-3 masters in management, does that count as a work experience at all?
Oh, no. When we talk about experience, we really mean work experience, and as I said before, even managerial experience.
And Odile, in terms of experience that you had, was it more managerial, business-oriented experience, or did you have other sectorial experience?
Okay, actually I had both. I had 15 years experience in France and also abroad, because I did work in Europe and in the USA, and I did manage some multinational teams before joining the Executive MBA. So that was really important to have business experience and also managerial experience, so you can really maximize the learning and the sharing with the other participants.
And lastly, if you worked in like somewhere, let's say nothing to do with managerial, like research and development, something more technical, does that count as a work experience?
Yeah. These experiences we value because we have participants who worked a long time in a research institution or who are in a non-governmental institution. But even there, it would be good if you were at least a team leader, for instance.
So
that
leadership
you could
experience.
already have the first experience, what it means, managing a unit, leading people. And even if it's only a little bit, it's usually the executive MBA taking you to the next level.
All right.
How important are the transcripts from university in the overall application?
I can answer. Clearly, when you apply, the most important point is that you really answer our essay questions. What motivates you to do an MBA? What you have achieved in your life, what you want to achieve in your life. You will also add previous transcripts and we will look at them.
Even if it's like 20 years before.
Even if it's 20 years before. So we look at them. But clearly, it's not because once in your life you had a bad mark in a specific subject, or because perhaps even the overall grade in one of your study programs 15 years ago was not as good as you expected, that we will not admit you.
So
we really look at the whole personality.
So you don't screen out a candidate because they failed some courses in the past or they didn't have good grade overall. You don't screen out, right?
No.
So
what you should have...
Why would you take transcript anyway to see what?
Oh, because it's also a very good basis even for a discussion. And in the discussion, in the interview, then the candidate can even explain why perhaps 10 or 15 years ago in this subject or for this study program, he was not as good as expected. And we can even learn much better what happened at that time, what he did afterwards, what he will do now. So we still want to see that, but it does not mean...
So it's a mere source of a discussion, right, for interview?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I think that we value that you usually failure, with failure you learn a lot.
Yeah, well, we say that very easily, but I mean, if you see a candidate with a transcript that is completely, maybe let's say below the average or very not good in your term, you do have a negative image to start with. No, it's not the case? No?
Not necessarily.
Really?
Not necessarily. If the person in question shows that he had or she had an incredible career and that he or she was able to move in his or her company from one job to the next one, from one position to the next position, we know that perhaps there was something wrong at some stage, but he or she was able to really overcome some difficulties and make it to the top.
I think it was clear. Yeah.
I think transcripts are important, but they're not everything for the MBA.
They're not determinant. Okay.
Hi. Is this individual coaching designed for current students to look for a new job? Or can it help me to plan ahead my next years to come in my current company? I need personalized advice on better skills on project negotiations. So I think I perhaps start what we do in terms of coaching for our participants,
Yeah.
and then Odile,
Yeah.
herself as a coach, can add.
Go ahead.
What we offer is every participant gets 4 hours of coaching within the program.
You mean 4 hours with the entire program?
4 hours of individual coaching.
Of the whole MBA?
During the whole MBA, but
Isn't
it's
that
the
too
first time.
short?
Oh, I come to a second element in this.
Wait a minute.
Give me a little bit time. So first of all, everybody gets 4 hours.
Yes.
And he or she can decide with which coach he or she would like to work. We have a selection of coaches over all 5 campuses. And if you are a participant, you decide whether you want to have the 4 hours with coach number 1, 2, or 3, in which country and in which language.
What do you mean, which country? Like if you're in a certain country, you can have your local coach?
If you are French
Yeah.
and you're based in Paris, you probably, also for reasons of being close to the coach, would like to choose a coach here in Paris.
Okay.
But if you are a German participant based in Berlin, you would probably choose a German coach.
Okay,
If
so let's
you're-
get it clear. How many hours in total can you have in maximum?
Okay,
Yeah.
so the first element, you have 4 hours of individual coaching.
Yeah.
The second element, our Alumni Association has established a special program for our executive MBA participants. So you get additional coaching from the Alumni Association.
Like Odile, maybe.
For instance. And the third element,
Yeah.
even in some of our electives, we have a coaching element.
Okay.
So depending on the electives you choose, you can get additional group
Okay,
coaching.
tell us like the contents of the coaching really quickly. Maybe Odile, would you like to share your experience when you were there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the content of the coaching really varies according to your personality, your needs, your career, what you're targeting. You know that coaching has a lot to do with goals that you want to reach.
Sure.
So really inside, we will drive you to reach your goals.
So when you were there as a student, did your coach, well now that you're a coach, but when you were receiving the coaching, were they like psychiatrists, or do they work with the psychology of you, or is it more like about career oriented, like your CV, your
it's a mix.
Yeah.
And really it is adapted to your needs. At that time I was working, but I knew that I needed some change. So it was a lot to do with clarifying what I really wanted.
So it's personalized. So the
yeah,
student
really,
is
it is individual coaching,
the student who's asking is really they want to get negotiation skills better. So how do you will there be some expertise? I mean, one person cannot teach everything, right?
Sure.
So if would you have a coach that has an expertise in that?
That's another reason why everybody can choose his or her coach freely, and not only depending on the location, but we also clearly state the areas of expertise of each coach. So you as a participant, you choose the coach of your choice.
We hope that there are a lot of variety of expertise.
Yeah, there is.
Including negotiations.
There is a lot of variety.
Right.
And coming back to the question we had, we should also say, for some people, coaching really helps them to make the next move in the current company.
Okay.
For some others, our coaching helps them to make the move perhaps to a totally different function and a totally different industry.
We hope to speak more on that, but we'll move on to the next question.
If you want to boost your international business knowledge, how your program that you market has a European Executive MBA fit my needs compared to other goals or the global Executive MBA program? Let me make sure I understood the question.
Yeah, let's try to understand the question.
I think I understood.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll let you answer.
I think you would like to know what we really offer in terms of the international business dimension, because we also claim that we are international and European. And I think here in this respect we have several really key characteristics which make us special. First of all, I would say that the international dimension of business has really a great emphasis in most of our courses. We have special electives focusing really on the international dimension. Let me just name a few examples. We have electives on international marketing, on international finance, on international strategy, on intercultural leadership. Just to give you examples that these subjects are specially dedicated to the international international part of
Okay,
business.
that's good. But we are thinking most of your campuses, or if not all, are based in Europe. And
Exactly.
we might guess that faculty are probably majority coming from European countries. So of course, when we say Europe, it's part of being international. But to understand, compared to other MBAs around the world, do they have the expertise to really cover all the continents and cultural issues, even in Asia and Africa and America?
Okay, first of all, let's say we want to be more focused on Europe than on the rest of the world. So Europe is our home base, and Europe is also our identity. Okay. But that does not mean that we neglect the rest of the world. And one clear element is our international seminars. For all of our participants, we have a seminar bringing them 1 week to the US. It's there where we deal particularly with innovation. And then we have 3 so-called regional leadership seminars where you have the choice between China, India, and Brazil. And
that's not regional, that's country based.
We expose you.
Although they're big countries.
We expose you really to 3 different parts of the world, and we try by bringing you there to really.
It's not just to say that you went outside of Europe and you're going into the emerging market.
No, it's clearly to make the link between Europe and the rest of the world. And now coming back to our courses, it's clear. Despite being European.
Well, you chose 3 big countries, but of course, are we talking about international? I mean, is Europe and the emerging market, or is this your focus? You said it's Europe. So to try to understand the contents of the program, you say there are a lot of courses in international aspects. So Odile, would you like to share, did you feel like you have an expertise in the regional business of Europe, or is it really international? I mean, it can be a good thing to have a regional focus. We just need to understand that.
It is really international. We have the European part, right? But we also have all the other, classes that are really international. The other element is that we are around 25 different nationalities, and those nationalities are not only European nationalities. We had people, participants coming from the US, participants coming from Africa, participants coming from, different countries in Europe. So I really felt it was international. I used to have an international career, and really many of the things that I learned during the Executive MBA helped me not being only Europe.
Okay, and your current work, does that involve more European focus, or is it more international?
It is more international because it's a little bit Dubai, it's a little bit Europe because of London, and a little bit the US. So
there's a link. All right, okay.
Is it possible to choose more than 10 electives?
Someone who wants to learn more.
Okay, tell us first of all, what is the standard number of electives you take during the whole MBA? It's
10. It's 10.
Good.
But perhaps it's also a good moment to briefly explain the 4 pillars of our program, and then come to the electives.
Go ahead.
Because the first pillar are the core courses. Everybody has core courses to take in subjects such as marketing, finance, financial accounting, and so on. Then the second pillar are our electives. And out of a portfolio of more than 40 electives, you take 10. I will come back to the question whether you can take more than 10. The third pillar are then our seminars. For instance, the ones in the US or in China, India, but also in Brussels, in Paris, in Madrid. And pillar number 4 is the international consulting project, where you work in a team of 4 or 5 students, and you work on a dedicated project, which is a real issue for a company. Now, having introduced these 4 pillars, I come back to the electives, and 10 is the usual number, but you are allowed to take up to 12 electives, and if you want, even after having completed the program, you can always join us 2 years later, 4 years later, 6 years later, and also take an elective.
You mean for free, or?
No, we charge a small fee, a small symbolic fee to that. So this helps our participants to even stay in touch with us.
Tell us why maximum number 12? Because of the time management?
Because of the time management.
And how was it easy for you to take 10 already?
I took 12.
Okay,
really
you are really eager
the
to learn.
are really interesting, and when you are into that motion of doing an executive MBA, you're just act like a sponge. You want to learn, right? So during those 18 months, you just want to learn.
12 electives are doable with the
yeah.
things that you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
12
Good.
are doable, but
Okay.
I can just tell you, sometimes at
Quickly.
the beginning of the program,
Yeah.
some of our participants say, oh, I would like to have 14 or 16. And then after 4 months, 6 months,
It's
they
a
come
question
to
of
see
being
us and
realistic.
say, oh, I
All
have to
right.
reduce. Already
Yeah.
the rest is really heavy workload. I can't do that despite being ambitious.
Okay, guys, now it's time for the expert question.
Are you satisfied with your current global ranking? How and do you plan to improve your ranking?
It could
Okay.
be a hard question or a good question.
Satisfied.
Up to
Okay,
you.
let's first say we are really very, very satisfied with our current global ranking. Being number 13 worldwide in a really competitive environment, in a situation where many other schools invest heavily also in lots of marketing to boost their program.
Are you saying the
And
marketing it relates to the ranking a lot?
in some
Also,
cases, yes. So we are really very, very satisfied because it's the best ranking ever we had.
Okay.
And we are really proud of this, and even more
Yeah,
proud.
13 is, of course, it's a good ranking now. How do you, of course, everybody wants to be top, they want to be better, does that ranking really matters for you, first of all, to communicate with your student? And second, like, do you and how do you plan in the future to improve the ranking so that the graduates in the next 3-4 years will have a, well, my school has higher ranking than 2 years ago.
I would say we continue to do what we always did. We want to deliver really a very good quality, and we want to have to have very, very satisfied participants. Quality in our courses, quality in the organization of the program, quality also in all the aspects we add to the program, such as the coaching elements we mentioned, and that really usually pays off.
What's like, let's say, 2 important key aspect factor to improve, to innovate your courses? I mean, maybe also compared to when you were there, Odile, I don't know if there has been any change. So tell us, like, what is your priority in terms of an advancement?
Clearly, what we always do, we improve. We usually try to evolutionary improve step by step, and one typical example is we add new electives to our portfolio to make the portfolio even more up to date and bring in topics which perhaps a few years ago were not really on the radar scene. I take an example, design thinking. It's now very much demanded, and that's why we really included that as one of the new offers in our elective portfolio.
Okay. And Odile, do you have anything to add on that? Quickly?
Not really, because when I was there, I was really satisfied with the quality. And every year I'm going to have, to be updated on subjects, and I could tell that the electives have changed. And whenever the majority of the participants are not 100% happy about an elective, I can see that that elective disappears to be replaced by something
So you mean
better.
like
so
the
the
school
improvement
listen
process
to
is there.
students' needs?
Yeah.
That's one thing to know. Well, regarding quality, we hope to discuss more on the following questions. We'll move on to the next one.
Assuming a candidate has the required experience and a strong motivation to enhance his skill and career, how would you consider a candidate not currently employed at the start of the program, but looking for new opportunities, starting its own business?
Okay.
Do we understand the question?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Clearly, most of our candidates, usually even all of them, they start the program being employed. They're usually in a management position, and they're usually successful.
Do you prefer them?
We usually say that for following an executive MBA program, it's good to also be on a daily basis in an executive position and to be really employed by a company. Now,
it sounds unfair for those who had been like not working for their choice or not for their choice, been not working the last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, be it, or maybe they had a family issue or babies, you know, there are many reasons. You should take that into account, no?
Just a little bit, because there is something that I noticed is many of the elements that you learn during the executive MBA, it's very comfortable to be able to test those techniques back in your company.
Okay.
So if you're not working, it kind of limits what you can do with it.
You might have your experience in the past. Maybe you worked 10 years. I don't know how many years a student, the candidate worked, but do you count that the fact that he has or she has worked in the past? And the fact that, I mean, maybe he or she has stopped working because it didn't work for them and he wants to start a new business, which is a complete new world for him or her. Yeah.
So, as I just said, usually our candidates, they are really in a successful position in management.
Okay.
There may be from time to time an exception. Somebody starts the program and perhaps 6 months after having started, something happens in the company. Then clearly he or she can continue. But we don't feel that participants having not worked for 2 years or 3 years are really the right
is 3
target.
months or 6 months okay? Even that?
Do you have any case by case?
Yes. Do you have any advice for the student?
It would be a case for case discussion in the jury.
Okay.
What we should also not forget, there are other programs on the market being more ready-made for those who are not working. It's more the full-time MBA programs. And the clear distinction between full-time and executive MBA is that the full-time participants, they are not working, whereas the executive MBA participants, they're usually really
currently
fully
working.
employed. Yeah.
All right.
And I think there is an important point. During the executive MBA, we are also testing the capacity of the person to be running the normal business, right? And at the same time, handling the heavy workload.
Oh, so you mean this is you know, part-time, right? For the student to understand. Yeah,
it is.
So you should be usually working at the same time.
Yes, and it's even part of the challenge.
That's why you
to
prefer
see,
someone. Okay.
To see, can you combine your career in the company and the challenging project?
You want the
MBA,
simultaneous application.
and even sometimes
Right,
manage your family.
Because this is a big challenge.
Okay, so your advice is to look at the full-time MBA. Okay.
For those who rather have a different profile, probably full-time MBA programs are the better choice.
Okay, thank you.
What is the language used if you have campuses in so many different cities in the world? How good do I have to be in Spanish if I want to study in Madrid, for example? So clearly, all our courses are now offered in English language. So despite being in so many different cities of Europe, the teaching language is English. And that means you should have a good working knowledge of English.
Oh, we saw that in case of Madrid, maybe you need to speak some Spanish.
Exactly.
Tell us
now
more.
that's the only exception. The campus of Madrid offers the core courses, partially in Spanish and partially in English.
Do you have to speak partially Spanish?
So if you opt for the Madrid track, then you would have to have a good working knowledge of both English and Spanish.
Is there an option for me to go to Madrid and then like just take courses 100% in English?
I didn't get the question.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to like live in Madrid and let's say a student doesn't speak any Spanish, can she or he take classes 100% in English, choosing, or do you have to take both?
For the core courses, it's really a mix between English and Spanish.
Maybe come up with some level of a Spanish.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
But that's the only one.
Yeah, what we would recommend is maybe live in Madrid and take what we call the itinerant track, which is one option where you go in each country. So you can still live in Madrid, but every 2 months you will be traveling to one of the campus to have the core courses.
Ah, okay. So you mean like
This
in
could
terms
be
of
an
this
option.
is another alternative.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right.
How are the subjects evaluated by written tests or group projects? What are the criteria for a student to graduate in the end? So actually it's both. There will be a written test. You will have also many group projects, right, where the management team at ESCP make sure that the same people are not working all the time together. So you will have the opportunity to work with different people that are all over the world. Where, so it means, you know, learning how to work.
Isn't it difficult to organize a group work if you're all over the world?
You become pro.
Everybody,
really
I mean, I'm sure you are, but maybe like to work with the people around the world.
This is something that people will learn if they were not doing that previously, you know, doing Skype meetings and working when we come to class together. So this is something you learn how to work with.
And do you have like any final exams that kind of determines you to have a diploma or not, or?
There's no overall final exam at the end of the 18-month or the 30-month, but for each single course, there's a final grade. And how you get the grade, it's just as Odile explained. Sometimes it's based on a quiz, sometimes it's based on an oral presentation, sometimes it's based on a group assignment, sometimes it's based on a case solution, which you also present. So for each single seminar, for each single module, you have to deliver something.
It feels like we're going back to the time when we were in bachelor's and master's in terms of format a little bit. Is that true?
No, it's
like we do presentations, we have quizzes, pop quizzes.
Yeah, it's really something different. Because you learn from your participant. You will, if you're not good at presenting in public, you will be good. You become good at presenting in public, right? So it's completely different.
And perhaps what's also different, I would say even more group work, as Odile mentioned, and in terms of the assignments and the type of tasks we as professors ask, it's really more managerial.
And are there classes like in distance or on campus? How does it work for those who are all over the world?
Okay,
well,
I think
you have
that's
many
already
campuses.
linked to the next
So
question which we see here.
You're right.
What are the e-learning classes and are they obligatory? Do we even have time to do that apart from work for lectures? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Clearly, we are convinced that the main part of our program is in the classroom, is in groups.
You do have many campuses there.
Yeah. So we are convinced that our executive MBA program really benefits from being a program where you really meet, where you meet your professors and where you meet other classmates. This does not mean that for some additional assignments or cases, you're always meeting them in person. As Odile already mentioned, here you can have some distance where you do your Skype meeting to finish your assignment, or where you have a telephone conversation to fix the last problems on a presentation you want to give. In addition, we offer some e-learning. For instance, we have a platform which our participants can use to study material which was not covered in class, or material which is perhaps even in addition to the class, but we believe that's not the core.
So you're in terms of percentage of the course running, like would you say the lecture form on face-to-face is like over 80%?
Oh, much more. Much
90%.
more. It's even over 90%.
It's really on.
Yeah.
And is there any chance for you to Odile, like to communicate with those who are in the other campuses at a simultaneous moment to do a project or do a class assignment, or is it really with the people who you are in the same campus at the moment?
No. It's really mixed. For example, the main class, because I did the Paris track, right? But for all the elective, it's mixed. So, and even for the doing the Paris track, when we were doing the seminars, you know, in the different countries, the team were mixed.
Okay, even so, you might be in distance. That's why when you said there's a Skype meeting.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, or let me take the example of the International Consulting Project, the fourth pillar I mentioned.
Yeah.
Usually you try to do that with people from different tracks. So even if you are in the Paris track, in this project you may work with somebody from the Berlin-London track, and
even if you never met them in person.
Oh, you met them because
you
meet everybody during the first week, the induction
really
week in Paris.
Networking there.
You meet 3 months later during the Brussels seminar. You meet later on for the closing seminar, and you meet in between during the electives.
Okay, last question, Odile.
Sure.
Are the professors very unilateral, or are they engaging? Like in your personal and honest point of view? were they unilateral in lecturing, or did they? How do they start? Like, do you start lecturing and then they communicate after?
This is communication. Really, they really value the participation from you know, the crowd, because you're talking to a manager, you're talking to executives, so people who can really add value to the content of the class. So this is a, you know, discussion.
So
I think 50%.
You start class, like start communicating already naturally.
Usually, no. The professor will start, and then he will ask questions, or some people will just participate. So yeah, this is just great, right? It is nothing like school.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you please help me on forecasting the average time spent in campus and also the average cost of it, regardless the track chosen of your program? Oh, but it varies, huh? If it is itinerant track, it will be more expensive. I can talk. The itinerant is where you have all the core courses, classes in the different campuses. It means additional traveling, right? So this will be more expensive. I did the Paris track, and at that time, everything taken into account, I think it was around 70,000 euros. However, there is a great thing is on your tax. You know, something can be deduced.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I think here the question is the
average
time you spent.
Okay, I talked about the average cost. Average time, it is the double of the classes. So here, if we're talking about what 560 hours of classes, is it? Yeah, you need to count. At
you mean in total for the coursework? So you would have half time in class, half time outside. So would you be
what I mean is for 1 hour of teaching,
you
need to count actually 2 hours of personal working.
Okay.
Because you need to read books, you need to work on the assignment. There needs to be some.
So you really did a calculation of how much time you'd spend.
Yes.
So and is that compatible with the work though? I mean,
it's compatible with work, and it's compatible with family life.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to be really organized. I have 2 kids, right, who are today 14 and 11. So. You know, 11 and 7, they were at that time, so pretty small.
Yeah, but
very challenging, but you know, we're professionals and we know how to get organized to make things happen. You need the support of your family, though. Your husband must be, or your wife, must be really into helping you, you know, reaching that goal.
How many people are in the applicant selection panel, and who are they?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, for you.
Perhaps I take the 2 dimensions which are relevant. The first one is really the interview jury you are having. Usually you are having your interview with 3 people. It's 2 professors plus an alumnus, or sometimes one of the professors is also replaced by one of the directors of our MBA program at the different campuses. Okay. So 3 people are in your jury for the selection interview, and then all admission files are also in the so-called admissions jury, and this jury is headed by Valérie Madon, the director of the program, and myself, the academic dean of the program, and then you also have to pass through this jury.
So first, the application, you mean the paper application. There are 3 people in total?
No, the paper application, it's jacked, and if everything is answered, then you pass in the oral selection interview, and for this one you have the 3 people.
So why do you include alumni? I find it maybe not always the case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it is a case.
I think it's really important to have the feeling of the alumni, to find out, okay, if the person in front of us have the behavior, because you know, ESCP is a lot about, you know, people relation. So we have our word to say, yeah, I believe in his project. Sure. I think he can fit with the mentality of the school, and so we will give our advice.
But it can be very subjective, because I mean, you know, like me being an alumni also in my school, I can have very subjective experience, and I can have, okay, well, this student might not fit into my group of people, you know. Sure. So it can be very subjective. So
yeah, but it is part of the. It is part of the.
How do you select alumni to do so?
Oh. We have a really a broad range of alumni we can count on, and we value diversity within our students.
Okay.
So we also value later on diversity even within our range of alumni participating. And anyhow, the decision is always a kind of subjective.
Okay.
Also from the perspective of the professor,
Yeah.
or also from the perspective of the academic dean. But one thing is very important. We really want to make sure that our alumni are not just students and once they graduate, it's over. We want to build a long relationship with them, and we want to bring them in the selection, so also to have very good participants in the future.
Okay.
Hello. Have there been increases of salaries of your recent graduates within a year or two? What is the average increase rate? Thank you. Okay. Clearly the salary increase is also something very important in the Financial Times ranking, and the salary increase is also important to some of our participants.
How much was it?
They
sometimes
really have an increase already after 4 years after graduation of more than 50%.
Okay.
And this is really, in our opinion, a very
in
good
4
rate.
years?
Yeah, sometimes even less.
We might expect within 1 year sometimes.
Oh yeah, sometimes even within 1 year.
Okay.
I just said it's a typical figure you can reach. And next thing I would like to add, we are really proud that for many of our graduates there is an increase in salary, but we are even more proud that they fulfill also other objectives, because it's not even for everybody the salary increase which counts. It's sometimes even more that they're having a happy career, that they're really satisfied. But
Odile, yeah, sorry. Odile, you have 10 seconds to confirm.
Sure.
Were your salary increase, and are you happier?
I am definitely happier. My salary increased, and really the MBA gave me wings.
Yeah, how
Meaning,
would you tell us like
what
the
was
percentage of
impossible
salary?
before became possible.
Okay.
And in
that's,
many aspects.
We have to more
And if
talk
I
about
financed
that.
my
That's,
MBA, and
okay.
if I had to do it again, I'll do it again. And this is why I'm sitting here, you know, talking to other
Okay.
people.
All right, it's time for the Tylus moment. Good. You read it out.
are you in competition of campus territories expansion around the world? Are you winning? Yeah, sometimes you may see a parallel between strategy and the military world, and that's why you think, okay, we really want to attack the rest of the world.
It's almost, it reminds us of a video game, like going around the world and making campuses there. Now, it's also, I mean, half a joke, but I mean, would you tell us, are you winning? Is this a competition for you among other competitors in the market?
No, clearly we must say that the competitive element is there in the executive MBA market, but we don't feel that really we have to attack competitors.
Okay,
to
but
get
is it
very
your
good
like a marketing
candidates.
strategy? Is it important for your marketing? What does it really bring for students? I mean, apart from we already discussed the students have a possibility to go all these campuses, but it can be a positive thing at some point that you can experience that you have choices. But on the other hand, they can travel if they want. They're an executive level if they want to. They can go on a weekend to Spain, to Berlin. But what's the real value that it brings to them when they could just stay in Paris and stay in one location and be really concentrated in that location, you know? So is it really like a priority for you to have many campuses? Do you plan to have many more? Or what's the real idea of having so many campuses? Yeah.
Now, we really believe that the fact of having 5 campuses which we own, and now a 6th campus in Poland where we have a strategic alliance, helps us to have a very unique approach to management, and especially to European management. And we believe that having these 5 campuses on our own also allows us to have really an integrated approach. There's a difference between having joint ventures and having your own subsidiaries. And we really have our own locations in 5 countries. And I hope that each of our participants, also in other programs, not only in the MBA, can see that there is an added value of this integrated European perspective.
Odile?
I can confirm it has really a big value added. I was on the Paris track, but nevertheless, for the elective, I really went into to the different campuses to have classes there. And the way the teachers are sharing knowledge is different. The structure is different. And when you are in the country, you really network with the participant being located there. So
there's also a lot of executive MBAs that allows you to go like study trips there, do an MBA, have a face-to-face meeting here or there in this city, even if they don't have many campuses. So in the end, having a lot of campuses, isn't there a difficulty like sort of managing, organizing? And in the end, like help students to, okay, well, we're going to try to adapt to you, but you have many students to adapt.
It's definitely more challenging and more complex. But I think another very important aspect is that our school has a completely different philosophy. A school sending their participants on a study trip somewhere else is still headquartered in one country. We are headquartered in 5 countries, and we are really having more and more this European perspective, and that's why we are not only called ESCP Europe, we are a European school and not a French school, not a German school, not an English school, not an Italian school, or not a Spanish school.
There's an identity issue, I understand. All right, next question.
What qualities, weakness are you looking for in candidates? What are the kind of academic background you look for in admissions process?
Okay.
Looking for weaknesses. Okay.
I would say, for the first question, we want you. And you can have different strengths and weaknesses as compared to another candidate. And that's perhaps also something very special. We don't want to have one typical candidate in our program. Remember, I started to explain our program and said we value diversity. And that also comes hand in hand with the diversity in strengths and weaknesses.
Well, you told us also that we want very successful people in the managerial realm, and we have like one idea, like someone in suit. I'm very managing stuff. I'm successful. I've been earning a lot of money. Well, now that's the typical like image that we had in the beginning. Also, apart from the diversity you told us. So when you have an interview, of course you feel maybe pressure to hide your weakness, or how do you try to talk about your weakness?
Here I clearly say, don't hide your weaknesses.
But
we want you to talk about your strengths and your weaknesses, and we accept you with your strengths and your weaknesses.
You say that, but sometimes you're among very competitive
Would
candidates.
you be perfect?
Yeah.
There would be no need to do an executive MBA. You are strong, but you also know that you still have to learn something, either in terms of knowledge or skills or personality, and that's why you come there. And if you explain to us why the executive MBA can help you to also overcome some of your weaknesses, that's the right thing to do. You know that perhaps you're not the strongest in leading teams. Okay, that's something to be learned in the executive MBA.
So let's be honest, are you saying that weakness can actually make you value the student more?
Oh yeah.
And how should they present it?
They should present it already in their admission file. We have a question even on your personality and your strengths and weaknesses, and you should not hide your weaknesses.
What kind of weaknesses do you look for in the end, the student asks?
Okay, for example, and this I can answer, I didn't have knowledge in finance, right? I didn't have knowledge in business law. So, and I came there and I say, I need you because I need to have knowledge in all the key functions in a company. Because today I'm missing that. If I was going there saying, I already know everything, they would have said, you already know everything, so thank you very much, Odile.
All right.
We cannot help you, because they need to be able to help us. All right. And they are also very interested in knowing how and what we can bring to the group.
Thanks for sharing that.
Right.
Hello. I saw that you went to visit Google. I really want to change my workplace to Google or other big IT corporations. Could this program organize events with companies of my interest? The program organizes lots of events with companies. Sometimes speakers from companies come to some of our classes. We have conferences. We also organize panel discussions with company speakers. However, what we are not actively doing, we are not actively bringing employers and students together. We don't see that as our job. That's our alumni association. They are having much more events like this. For instance, also having special career events for our participants.
So alumni events are really active in that. I mean, even if they have like very executive, a higher level, a managerial position, they actually work on that too after the program.
Yeah. You know, the alumni association is really active. Why? Because usually when you join ESCP, you will share a little bit of your time. I'm here today. I had a full day of work, but I'm still here today. So our mentality is a lot into sharing, into giving a little bit of our time, our advices. I remember that when I graduated, I called 4 alumni that I didn't know who took up their time to share with me, you know, what was important for ESCP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you also participating in these alumni activities?
In some of them, yeah. Maybe per year I will participate to 6 events.
Okay.
I will go to fairs and testify.
So answer the question. Let's say I want to meet someone from the CEO of Samsung, or like we go to Asia, or Korea, or an Apple in US. Like, can you do that?
You can always have access to the alumni association and see who is working within Samsung, who is working within Google, who is working within Toyota.
Can I propose you, like, I wanna meet like one of the CEOs in Samsung in Seoul? Can you organize an event?
Whether it's the CEO or somebody else, we cannot promise. And it's also up to you later on to establish the contact. And what we said before, even after a speech by somebody, it's you, the participant, you can approach somebody.
Sure, that we can do when we're working too. You know, we can do networking while we're like a managerial position. But can this program help students to actually have a contact more? I mean, maybe you cannot guarantee, but do you have any process to help students be in touch?
Oh yeah.
There is the okay. When as soon as you join ESCP, you have access to the how do you call that? The calendar where you have all the contact of the people graduating from ESCP, the big school, and the executive MBA, and so you have access to that, and you can contact them.
So you mean like an access, like a access within the members of the community?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. In French, and I'm afraid. Is this a following of? I speak English, but I only studied in French in school. What is the good level for this MBA?
I think the student is asking about the level of English necessary, no?
But I only studied in French.
I would say if you're not sure about your English, just get in contact with our admission officers, and then we have a first conversation in English, and it's easily possible to see whether you have the required level.
They will tell you on your face like your English is not good enough, if it's not good enough?
We will discuss with you what you can perhaps do, and later on you even have to show that you have the level, either by providing us a specific test result or by taking our in-house English test.
Okay.
But we see that this is less and less a problem because we don't expect you to be perfect in English. The school is located in so many different countries where English is not the native language.
Okay.
So we don't expect you to be perfect. We just expect you that you can read English textbooks, that you can participate in a class discussion, even if you make mistakes.
How seriously do you take the result of the TOEFL and IELTS? Is it like, you know, do you have a minimum, you know?
Yeah, we have minimum, but I'm even not able to tell you the exact numbers. You can talk to our admission officers.
When you do an interview, you do it in English.
We usually
do it in
English.
If a student has a good result, but then the interview in the oral they are not as good, is that a bad thing or?
No, basically it's really during the interview that we already see how things will go, because also in the program many of the discussions take place orally.
Yeah. So in terms of English level, how do you select students? If the student has good idea but English is not good enough?
Still we have to ensure that the English is satisfactory enough orally and in written, because otherwise it would be a real problem also in teamwork.
Because to take notes, because the classes are in English, right? So you need to be able to understand whatever the professor is saying, right? You need to be able to talk with participants.
But you don't have to perfect, is that what you mean? Yeah, you don't have to completely fluent nor native.
Yeah,
you don't have to, but you need a minimum to be able to
follow the courses. Okay.
Is it possible to choose the seminars in China and Brazil instead of choosing just one of them? Okay, that will be difficult because the 3 seminars I just mentioned before, China, India and Brazil, they take place at the same time in the year. So what you should do in this case, you attend one seminar while you are enrolled in the program, and then what we offer to you, once you have graduated, you can still join the group and take the other countries the year after or the years after.
You really have to make a good choice on your first. Maybe will there be someone to help you, to tell you what how to choose better for your needs? Okay.
For instance, I just spent last week 3 days with all the participants in Brussels. We had our European Business Environment Seminar. And during this seminar, the 3 professors organizing China, India and Brazil, they were there and they explained to the class the choice, they presented the offers, and afterwards they were available for further questions, and by that they helped them to take the right decision what to focus on.
Okay.
Is this international consultancy projects done at the company? You say there is a multicultural team. How is the team formulated? So the international consultancy project is a real subject. So, and it is brought by one of the participants, and it's a multicultural team. It means that the subject is real, and whenever, if you have to visit the company to get a more accurate view or the needs, etc. You will have to go to the company.
So how multicultural is it?
Oh,
and how is it formulated?
It really depends. There are some teams where really you have 5 different nationalities, and you have some other teams where you have perhaps 3 nationalities out of the 5 members.
And how do you choose?
It's the provider of a project. Perhaps you remember?
Yeah, I do. The provider of the subject will come when the whole group is gathered to share the subject, and then you will apply, right? If you're interested by the subject, so you will come and say, okay, I'm interested, this is what I can bring, etc. And then the person bringing the subject will pick.
Okay.
Right?
Great.
If a candidate does not have 5 years of professional experience at managerial level, is the GMP then a good solution to enroll eventually later to the executive MBA? Yes, it is, as soon as you have a minimum of 4 years, because for the GMP we require a minimum of 4 years professional experience. But it's really also the minimum here, as we said before. You benefit the most from a program such as ours if you really have even a longer experience. Because that really makes you better understand what we discuss in strategy or marketing, what is really at stake in an elective on leadership or negotiation.
So if you have less than 5 years, you go for GMP?
If you have at least 4 years. But even for the GMP, 4 years. 4 years. If you're below 4 years, then neither the GMP nor the executive MBA program would be a program which is suited to your needs.
Okay, that's pretty clear. All right, let's go to the next question.
How many days a week do I need to attend in campus during the entire 18 months program? You mentioned hours only.
Okay. Now, since our program has so many different options, this will depend on the track you choose. I come back to our core courses. If you choose the Berlin-London track to start with, you will spend 3 intensive weeks of core courses at our campuses. If you choose the itinerant track, it will not be 3 weeks, but it will be 5, but you will not spend the whole week there, and the days will also be a little bit shorter. If you choose the Paris track, for instance, it will be even more weeks, but the weeks will again be shorter. Odile,
you mean out of 18 months? You mean, you're saying out of 18 months,
It's only
right?
the core courses we are now talking about.
Okay.
So you see the type and the length of the stay at a campus depend on the core courses.
Okay, so yeah, tell us, Odile, like how many weeks did you spend in the Paris track?
Okay, for the Paris track, every month I was spending 2 days, starting from Wednesday noon.
2 days per month?
2 days per month, regularly. Additional to that, you need to add the electives, and you need to add the full week of seminars.
Okay, so 2 days of core courses, right?
Of core courses, and then 12 hours of electives.
Okay,
times
per month?
12.
Per month, you mean?
Let me see, 12, no, it's a little bit less,
Okay.
because 12 elective is 12 hours times 12, right?
Okay.
So some months I was having 2 days plus 12 hours of elective, right? But every Paris track, every month, pretty much 2 days. It it started at that time from Wednesday afternoon at noon, and finished Friday.
So for the student to have an idea, like let's say in average, would you spend like 1 to 2 weeks per month in total?
No, this is a lot. Huh?
No,
this
it's
is
less.
1 week maybe
It's
class?
Less. Yeah, it's less because that's why we have so many different tracks, because we know some people can really not be away from their company for a longer period. They can perhaps come more often to our campuses, but always stay only 2 days.
Okay.
Some others, they rather prefer a formula where they really use even their holidays to spend them on campus.
Great, guys, that was 1 hour. We're going to give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds to conclude each of you. Go ahead. Stefan?
We think that our Executive MBA program can offer you really a good opportunity to make the next steps in your career. And if you really like to be in an international program, working in multicultural teams, then we really think that our Executive MBA program is the right choice for you.
Okay, Odile?
Okay. If you want a change in your life, a change in quality, if you want to have wings to fly and do whatever you would like to do, go for that. It's a lot of work, but if I had to redo it, I will redo it and refinance it.
Thank you, guys. It has been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for the interesting talk.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for participating and sharing your concerns. Hope this helped you to better understand the program. Now, if you have any further questions, we invite you to contact the school and director. They'd be very happy to hear from you. See you next time for your next interviews on Campus Channel.